Time is ticking away. Time is ticking away. The college basketball season is coming to a near end, but it's time for the best time of the year. March is upon us tomorrow. Tomorrow is officially March, but the madness started yesterday. We started off yesterday. We had the conference tournament. I believe it was the ASUN. The ASUN kicked off their conference tournament yesterday. We had a lot of big games, in the Big 12. We had a big ACC game, a lot of games that are going to affect who is going to be seated where teams are going to be seated in March Madness. Yes, Iowa State did sell. They sold pretty hard on us yesterday. I was very disappointed. Obviously, I was hoping we would hit the two-teamer, but we went 2-1 overall yesterday. We hit Queens money line and we hit Baylor on the money line, which was fun because I got a little clown for the Baylor one because it was probably a square bet, yeah. But sometimes you got to learn when to be square and when to be sharp. Yesterday, I felt like it was best to be square. I thought Baylor was a much better team, and it hit. So in just a second here, once I get this TikTok live going, we will talk about the bubble. Start off with the bubble today. All right. So obviously now we are here. Let's start off and we'll talk about the bubble. So yesterday, the biggest game regarding the bubble was North Carolina versus Florida State. Obviously, I know a lot about that. I'm a North Carolina fan. I watched every game this year, 90% of games this year. So for North Carolina yesterday, that was the best game I've seen them shoot from three since March Madness last year. Pete Nance has really stepped up, and I see a lot of people are a little bit concerned that maybe Mondo's not playing his best basketball right now, but the team is playing their best basketball at the right time once again this season. And if they can rely on people other than Mondo, the way Leaky Black is playing yesterday, player of the game, Leaky Black, I believe 19 and 11, insane numbers yesterday. Had one of the best games I've seen him play. Obviously, he's always a force on the defensive end, but he was a very, very big force on the offensive end as well. But if guys like Pete Nance and Leaky Black can play big games and play as well as they did yesterday and well they played against Virginia and Notre Dame, I mean, Pete Nance has put together 3 straight good games, which is something we've been concerned about. We've been concerned about Pete Nance from the North Carolina side. Is he going to be able to step up and play that Brady Manek role? And he hasn't up to this point in the season. These last 3 games he has. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Pete Nance is playing out of his mind. He's playing his best basketball he has played all season long. And I'm very, very excited for what he's going to bring to the table the rest of the way. Listen, I see Caleb Love is going to get his. Caleb Love is an NBA talent. He takes NBA-level shots for a reason. Hubert Davis gives him the green light, but he's making them right now. They are making the three-pointers, and that was the thing that pushed them over the edge last year when they went on this run. All right, bro. That was the thing that last year that put them on this, that helped them go on this run, that helped them do what they were able to do in March Madness was the play from everybody. The three-point shooting from Caleb Love in March Madness was insane. It was up, I believe, 7% from the regular season to March Madness for him last season. So if he's able to mimic that again this year, he's going to be just as big of an impact. I mean, he's kind of having a better season this year, numbers wise, than he was last year. I know they haven't had the same team success, but Mondo, yes, he's not having the year that we expected him to have offensively. Defensively, amazing. We've seen him shut down Hunter Dickinson. We've seen him give Trace Jackson Davis some trouble. I know he got into some foul trouble and he was banged up in that game, but he has been a very, very solid defender for this team. The defense for this team has stepped up to another level. Another great game defensively by the Tar Heels. But overall, I was a little concerned. They kind of in the second half, they looked sluggish at times. Probably wasn't their best overall game that they've played, but it was good enough to get the job done. The thing about this team is they're now playing their best basketball that they have played all season long, and that is what I wanted to see out of them going down the stretch, and that's what we're seeing right now. And that's going to be important because, like I said, last year that's what allowed them to go on the run that they did. I mean, they have the 44th best defense. Oh, shoot. Sorry, TikTok. You guys fell. Via KenPom, let's look at the matchup yesterday. By the number, look at them specifically by the numbers on KenPom. If I can look at specific games, can I not? Okay, never mind. I'm not even going to worry about that. But very, very, very big game out of North Carolina. They've stepped up. They've stepped up big time. I was very happy with the performance yesterday, but they're still out. They're still out. None of it matters if you can't beat Duke on Saturday. Beating Duke on Saturday is very important. Isaiah Lively gave North Carolina hell. That was the one player Mondo had trouble guarding. That's the one player who got theirs on Mondo. That's the one player, one of the bigs that I think really has caused them trouble. I beg to differ, but whatever. I'm very excited to see what this team's going to do on Saturday. Obviously, it's a game. It's a game of the season. It's Duke versus North Carolina, which already carries a ton of weight. It's the best rivalry in all of sports. Duke versus North Carolina. But now we get to see it again, once again, for the third straight time or I would say 3 out of the last 4 times with such high stakes. Last year, we saw the Final Four game, which was the biggest game in either of their programs in the rivalry history. In the rivalry history. And then we saw last year North Carolina retired Coach K at home, beat him in his last home game. Duke's going to come out with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder because we did that to Coach K. They're going to want to get their revenge. But North Carolina's playing for their entire season. And there's something I've learned about this team is when sometimes they need to have their back against the wall to play their best basketball. And that's what we've seen last year. And that's what we see, again this year. So I'm very excited for the game Saturday. I do think North Carolina is going to win in Chapel Hill. They're getting hot at the right time. Duke, yes, they're playing very, very good basketball, but I think North Carolina is more talented than Duke. I think North Carolina is a better team than Duke. I really do. I genuinely believe North Carolina has been the most underwhelming team that I've seen in years in college basketball. But are they going to be able to put it together on the biggest stage against Duke? That's what the question is going to be. We've seen these guys step up in big moments before. Can they do it again? And can they roll it into the ACC tournament where they can't just get bounced in the first round of the ACC tournament either. Like, their back is so far against the wall. They're going to have to get to at least maybe the quarterfinals. It's going to become 50-50 then. But they got to beat Duke Saturday first. They don't beat Duke on Saturday, none of it matters. So we will see. Yeah, okay. That's the last thing Duke does, but nonetheless. So let's look at the Patriot League tournament. This is a tournament I'm very, very excited for. Because it's the best tournament of the entire season. They face off. We start off tonight with a lot of marquee matchups in the Patriot League. I can find the schedule. The schedules are always so the Patriot League does not have their tournament bracket posted anywhere, which is ridiculous and it's annoying. Thank you guys for the likes on TikTok. I appreciate liking the live. It's ridiculous and it is so annoying for that to happen. But let's start off with the matchups. First off, we start off tonight with American taking on Bucknell, and then we have Loyola Maryland taking on Holy Cross. I don't have the best bet in these games. I don't know too much about the Patriot League. Like I said, I'm not a huge mid-major guy. I know enough to talk about it, but I don't know enough to go into a complete and utter deep dive. I rely on KenPom a lot, like a lot. I love KenPom. KenPom is probably the greatest thing that was ever invented. But I would like to look at the Patriot League overall because the Patriot League is it's interesting. Can I look at there it is, Patriot League. Okay, so I got the Patriot League. So the number one offensive team in the Patriot League is Colgate. The number one defensive team in the Patriot League is, I believe, Navy. No, it's Lafayette. Lafayette is the number one ranked defense in the Patriot League, but they have the second worst offense. So looking at this from the raw angle, I really like Colgate. They are my favorite to win the Patriot League. And I think they can pull off an upset in March Madness. One of the best offenses in the entire country, actually. Top 60 offense. Tucker Richardson, the senior guard, he has been an absolute beast from them. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's made an impact on the defensive end. He's been able to get steals for them. I believe he's top 75 in the country in steal percentage. So Tucker Richardson is going to be the key for Colgate to win this tournament. Obviously, star play is a huge factor, but guys like Keaton Records and Brandon Smith are going to be huge for them down the stretch. One is very old, Keegan Records. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up these names here. Keegan Records, senior center, has been a beast for them all year. He's one of the highest rated offensive players in the entire country. He's been an absolute monster on defense too. Beautiful rim protector, beautiful paint protector, does not allow much to go by him. So him and Tucker Richardson are going to be the biggest keys for Colgate to maintain this number one seed, win the tournament, and get themselves a good seed in March and come the March Madness time. Because this is a team that I really like. McDonald's workers. I mean, dude, listen, these are D1 athletes. No way to cut it. Colgate's no scrub. Colgate's not a scrub team. Patriot League is one of my favorite leagues out of all the mid-majors, though. So I've watched a good amount of Patriot League games because I go to school near Lehigh, so I've seen quite a few Lehigh games. And leaking into Lehigh a little bit, Lehigh is my dark horse for the tournament. This team is just well-rounded. It's just overall well-rounded. And Keith Higgins is one of the best basketball players I've seen just from with my very own eyes that's not going to a professional game. Takes care of the basketball. Takes smart shots. He's a very good three-point shooter. He struggles sometimes on the defensive end. He concerns me a little bit on the defensive end sometimes, but he has just been an all-around beast for them. And I really like Keith Higgins, and I really think that he's only a sophomore. That's the crazy part. Keith Higgins is only a sophomore. He's still young. He still has time to come into his own. But he's a player who's going to be on my watch list next year. I could see him transferring out as well because he's going to want a better opportunity. But the guy's been an absolute beast for them. Another guy, Tyler Whitney Sydney. I didn't get to see him play too much. I believe he was hurt for a little bit, but he's technically their star player, and he's another guy. Takes smart shots. He's very, very good on the defensive end. The only thing that worries me about Colgate is Lehigh is their offense can go shut. They can go quiet sometimes. I saw it against Army when I went to the Army game. Their offense went quiet for a long period of time in the first half. Colgate plays a lot of run basketball. They get hot, they get cold, and they allow that to control the flow of the game too much. So that's where I get concerned with them. They don't play, I believe, till tomorrow or Thursday, I believe, when they will take on Lehigh or Lafayette, which is funny. They're crosstown rivals. One's in Easton, one's in Bethlehem. Yes, they play on Thursday. That's a game I wish I could have gone to, but biased. Maybe a little bit. But it's different because I've seen these guys play with my eyes. So obviously there's gonna be a natural bias towards them. But I really like Lehigh. I really think if Lehigh makes the tournament, they can be another scary team. Colgate, though, is my favorite to win it. I'm picking Colgate as my Patriot League winner, and I think Lehigh is my dark horse. Now let's switch over to the Horizon League. Horizon League is another league that I very little knowledge about, except for about 2 teams. So my favorite to win the Horizon League is Youngstown State. Youngstown State, from what I've seen, has been absolutely a problem in their league. They have I'm trying to find the KenPom numbers for them. KenPom, by the way, if you want to get all the college basketball information you need to download KenPom. You need to sign up for KenPom. It's literally $20 a year, and this guy does amazing work. He does amazing work. So the Horizon League. Yeah, Youngstown State offensively. That's what that's my favorite. Youngstown State offensively has been the fact that Antoine Davis, who is on Detroit Mercy, who is about to who has a chance to break Pete Maravich's all-time scoring record, which, he played next year. He played a lot more games. Yeah, he didn't do it at Pete Maravich's level, but nonetheless, he broke it. That's still a lot of points. It's still something that should be regarded, and he's still going to probably end up getting drafted for a team that desperately needs a score. But they have a better offense than them. They have the number 1 offense. They have a top 35 offense in the entire country. This Youngstown State team is no slouch. Defensively, they have trouble, though. And that's why I don't have high hopes for them in March Madness, because they have a lot of defensive worries, a lot of defensive troubles that scares me when it comes tournament time. Because defense is going to win you games, especially when you're one of those mid-majors. You're going to have to be able to shoot the three-point ball, and you're going to have to be able to play defense. You have no knowledge. Thanks, bro. But their defense overall, and they're one of the highest plus-minus teams in the entire country. Youngstown State's defense scares me, though. Dwayne Cohill is going to be my player to watch for Youngstown State, and he is going to be the key to their success in this tournament. One of the best offensive rated players in the entire country. He's another guy who takes care of the basketball. Maybe sometimes he has some defensive struggles that worry me a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of guys there's a reason these guys aren't in the ACC, and it's because they struggle a lot of times on one side of the ball. And we can see that defensively. We see that with Antoine Davis, is another guy who, like I said, for Detroit Mercy, is an absolute stud offensively. He's averaging the most points in the entire country. He has the number 1 field goal percentage in the entire country based off of metrics of shots. Doesn't miss free throws, can shoot the 3, can shoot the mid-range, can take the ball to the basket, he absorbs contact well. He's one of my favorite draft prospects coming into the tournament, or going into the NBA draft this season for an offensive angle. But I really do like Youngstown State to win this tournament. But Detroit Mercy is going to be my dark horse to win it because they have Antoine Davis. When you have that player who's that dominant on one side of the ball, like Antoine Davis is offensively, it's going to be scary. It's going to be hard to beat them a lot of times. Is it Antoine or Antonio? I'm sorry. It's Antoine. Yeah, I was right. It's Antoine. Or is Antonio? Okay. Anyway, Davis, he's an absolute stud. He's an absolute stud. I mean, I've been trying to pay attention to some of their games to see if he breaks the record, but I really like Detroit Mercy tonight against, I believe it is, I believe it's Purdue Fort Wayne. But I really like Detroit Mercy tonight against Purdue Fort Wayne. I really like them as my dark horse to win this entire Horizon League tournament. Like I said, I'm not a huge expert on these mid majors, but nonetheless, I really like that. Really like him tonight. Sun Belt Conference is another one. I'm a little skeptical on my knowledge on the Sun Belt Conference, but this is the Fun Belt. This is one of the most fun conferences to look at. I mean, the offenses in this conference are insane, but looking at this, my favorite to win this tournament is Marshall. Marshall has been the best team in the country, and Marshall is going to be one of those teams that I think can make a run come the tournament from a lower seed. There's a lot of these high conference ranked teams. Marshall, the thing about Marshall is more than anybody, they're good on both sides of the ball. They're the only team in their conference that is in top 100 offensively and defensively rating via KenPom. They're the number one overall team in their conference. They really don't seem to have any weaknesses. I guess they kind of have, maybe a weak tempo overall. They're kind of slow with the ball sometimes on the offensive end, but they rebound the ball well. They take care of the ball. They're very good inside the arc. They don't miss a lot of shots from there. They're kind of a mid-level team shooting the three ball, but overall they don't miss a lot of mid-range shots. Tavion Kinsey has been insane for them this year. The senior guard, he has been a beast for them. I really like his game. And I don't know if it'll transfer well to an NBA level, but overall, Marshall is one of my favorites. Is my favorite to win this tournament. They're one of my teams to watch to go on a Cinderella run come March. They're, like I said, both sides of the ball. That is key. That is what's going to help you pull off these upsets. Is you have to be able to be efficient on offense, and you have to be able to make stops on defense. And that's the thing. That's something that Marshall does well. That is something that Marshall does very well. But my sleeper to win the Sun Belt Conference has got to be James Madison. I mean, their defense they have the number one defense in the entire conference for a reason. For a reason. They don't allow a ton of shots. They force a lot of turnovers. They sometimes, they're not great at defending the three. At times they struggle with it, but overall, I mean, it's tough. I mean, James Madison, though, they're another one of those teams. They're one of the more well-rounded teams, though, because the reason I have them as my dark horse is compared to a team like South Alabama. South Alabama is great on defense. They struggle on offense. Yes, South Alabama allows the lowest three-point percentage out of all mid-major conferences, mid-major teams, but they struggle on the offensive end too much for me to like them to go on a run in this tournament. So I'm going to take James Madison as my dark horse, and I'm going to take Marshall as my conference champion favorite. Next up, we will switch over now to, I believe it is going to be my plays of the day. My plays of the day for today is the end of February. It is almost officially March. We'll start off with my two-piece. My two-piece of the day, if you saw it on Twitter, I'm going Duke money line, West Virginia money line. The reason I picked this is, listen, I know Duke is at home. Duke knows that they are going to have a very, very tough. Duke's going to know they have to grab one of the next two. They know North Carolina's playing for a little bit more than NC State. This did hurt me. Listen, this did hurt me as a North Carolina fan to take Duke and Virginia both in a two-teamer. Am I going to cheer for them? I want to win my bets. That's my biggest thing. I want to win my bets. That's what I care about doing. I want to hit these bets. So I got to be smart. And today, the smart play is to go with Duke and Virginia on the money line. Duke at home. They're a very good team at home. They're one of the best teams at home. Whether I like it or not, home court advantage is real for the Duke Blue Devils. So I'm going to take Duke on the money line. but there's not a ton of value, so I got to find something to pair it up with, and that's where the boys from Virginia come in. Virginia has lost 2 in a row. They lost to Boston College. They lost to North Carolina, both on the road. They are back home now. They are back home. They are, like I said, everybody plays better at home. Nothing is real in sports like home court advantage. Nothing is real in sports like home court advantage in college basketball. That's going to be on full display tonight. Home teams are going to get the job done, especially when you are that much better as Virginia is compared to Clemson. So I'm going to take Virginia and Duke on the money line, pair them up. Now we're going to switch over to Detroit Mercy, and I got them -5.5 because of Antoine Davis, because of what they can do on offense. I don't think Purdue Fort Wayne is going to put up much of a fight. I do think that Detroit Mercy is going to take this game pretty handily. I really like Detroit Mercy. I think they can go on a nice run to win this and try to win this conference. And plus, they got to win this game today because they need to make sure Davis gets another game so he can break the record because he's 64 points away. He's not going to score 64 points tonight, but they can win the game tonight. And he puts up a 30 bomb or 30 plus. We could be seeing it. I believe they would play Thursday. We could be seeing it on Thursday. Give me Detroit Mercy -5.5. And now my last play of the day. I'm going back with the boys from Queens. They did the job last night. They took down Florida Gulf Coast. They're facing Kennesaw State, a team they beat once already. And I think they get the job done once again. I think to be honest, I think they're going to win this game outright. Sprinkle on the Queens money line, but give me Queens on the spread because I'm going to be smart and I'm just going to take my points. You're going to give me 8.5 points. I'm going to take it, but they beat this team once already at Kennesaw State. Maybe Kennesaw State wants a little bit of a get back, but they beat them by 7. They beat them by 7 in their own building. You're going to tell me they're not going to cover 8.5? Come on. Don't do anything like that. I know it's big ball now, but I do think they take down. I think they beat Kennesaw State. I think they just straight up beat Kennesaw State tonight. But I think nonetheless, they are able to cover that 8.5 point spread and get the job done. So give me Queens +8.5. All the other games today, let's look at the other matchups I like. And I'm going to look at these more from an analytical angle. Big time games. I believe Texas Tech and Kansas is a big game. Texas Tech's fighting for their tournament lives. They blew it against TCU. Kansas, I think if Kansas wins this, they clinch the Big 12. They clinch the 1 seed. So, no, I'm picking a dark horse for each conference. That's the point. That's the point. I pick a dark horse for each conference. Yeah, well, Queens was my dark horse, and they won yesterday. So we'll see if they're able to do it again here today. But starting, what was the game we were talking about? Kansas. I think Kansas gets the job done against Texas Tech. I really do. I think Kansas they might repeat. They're not my favorite to win it all right now. Houston is, but Kansas, man, they are good. They are good. Their only thing that scares me about Kansas is they don't have a true center. They don't have a true center, and I think that can hurt them come tournament time. But for now, listen, the Jayhawks, they're good, man. They got it. They got that in them. I think they're going to get the job done today against Texas Tech. And then switching over, let's look at the not Butler. Where's the Villanova game? The Nova game's a big one as well. Nova versus Seton Hall. I see a lot of people trying to get a sharp angle on Seton Hall tonight. Seton Hall's not going to be able to win. Seton Hall is not going to beat Villanova tonight. Villanova's going to win the game. Villanova's going into stride, and unfortunately, unless they win the Big East, they're going to miss the tournament. But they're getting into a stride. They're getting the groove. I know it's their first year with a new head coach. I like to give teams slack on why they have a down year those years. And that is what we're seeing with Nova. We're seeing regular regression, and now we're seeing the progression. We saw it with Duke. It was just a little bit more sped up because Duke had a full year to prepare for it. Jay Wright retired out of nowhere. Coach K let everybody know he was retiring. And yes, he let everybody know. Trust me. He let everybody know. He went on a whole tour. But overall, I think Nova's going to grab that game from Seton Hall tonight. Don't really see – there's a couple of other big games. Michigan State's kind of big. I think Michigan State wins. No real major bubble impacting games tonight that I could see. Is there? No, Wisconsin, Ole Miss, and they're gone. Boise State kind of was a bubble team, I guess. Not really. Clemson's a bubble team. If Clemson wins this one, they might be locking up their ticket. I'm live on YouTube, by the way. I'm live on YouTube. what was I saying? Oh, if Clemson wins this game, they're going to lock up their ticket. They're going to punch their ticket to go to the ACC tournament or to go to the NCAA tournament, in my opinion, especially as they're going to probably get a 3 or 4 in the ACC tournament. So I really think Clemson is a big game for them because if you can get that road win against a top 15 team, you're going to cement yourself as a tournament team. And I really like their ability to get the job done here tonight. Another team, but for Virginia, they got to win this one because they've been on that skid. You cannot lose at home. You cannot lose at home coming off of 2 road losses. You got to make sure you go in there and get the job done and get the win tonight against Clemson. You're going to have to be able to shoot the 3-point ball better than you did. You're definitely going to have to take advantage of points off of turnovers. They did not do that against North Carolina. North Carolina turned the ball over at a little bit of a higher rate than usual, actually, and Virginia did not take advantage of the opportunities that they had in front of them. They're going to have to go out there and take advantage of the opportunities in front of them tonight. But all in all, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Sports Rage. As always, make sure you subscribe, follow, whatever, do whatever it is. Make sure and on TikTok, do the same thing. We're here every day, 10 a.m., talking about college basketball, breaking down college basketball, conference tournament thoughts, best bets. Make sure you follow me on Twitter as well, Cole_Tomp. If you're on YouTube, make sure you follow me on TikTok at Cole.Tomp. And for the guys on TikTok, make sure you follow the Kata Media YouTube. Link is in my bio. Thank you guys.